Neil, perhaps I could come to you. How important is internal communications when you're planning a launch? And actually, probably interesting for you, who's responsible for making sure there's that alignment from given that you're an HR man?
Yeah, great question. So I think first and foremost, it's absolutely essential to have kind of buy-in from the leadership team for what you're launching. I think genuinely understanding it. I remember at Vodafone, the CEO kind of being an absolute passionate geek around different devices. He had 3 mobile phones on him at any one time because he always wanted to talk about the latest product, and that goes a long way with your teams when they see, you know, the number one leader in that organisation kind of really passionate about the products and services. So I think you know, a lot of exec teams skip the stage of understanding what this product or service is all about, and I think that's absolutely key. Collaboration is key as well. I think too many launches fail because it's somebody else gets blamed. It's that department over there or that team over there, and I think you have to go with the energy sometimes, and you know, get cross working, cross team working to make sure successful launches happen. I saw a really interesting stat that 50% of or 51% of staff are actually disengaged by the products and services that their organisation is launching. So the winners are the ones that can, you know, get a significant cut through there and take their time. I think where I've seen products and services launched well, it's always been when there's been a little bit more of a slow burn, get people using it, talking about it, in feeling like they're shaping and feeding back, and then you know, making sure that there's mechanisms after the launch to talk about it as well. And I think I mentioned this already before. Give teams the tools to share through the social channels these days, because if they're advocating it, then you know, you've got an army there that are going to represent what you're talking about and can talk about it.
You personally took responsibility for, or,
yeah.
or was it marketing?
Yeah, so back to that, yeah, I think it's marketing should ask from HR for more help. I think HR can be a bit slow to the table sometimes, you know, and sometimes the ones talking about the barriers, you know, how difficult it would be, not necessarily, you know, coming up with solutions. So I think HR need to be more progressive in that area. Kind of, you know, if they understand products and services that have been launched, they can quickly then think about what else needs to be changed. So I think the best HR teams are getting more progressive there. But I think it's a really important ally for CMOs, CTOs, digital officers to kind of work with HR to help, you know, take that on. You'd be amazed that, you know, HR people do like to talk to the organisation, and they do want to get stuck in with this stuff. So
Liam, Mark, perhaps have you got some specific examples of where it's worked, where you've engaged with large, because you both got large workforce, in your case 70,000 volunteers, and in your case a global workforce. Is there anything specific that you've done that has kind of helped to get people on board with the launch?
Shall I go?
Yeah, please.
We launched a new sort of brand direction back in September this year, and I think you're absolutely right. The thing we did key was to get the internal comms, the HR team, involved right at the conceptual stage of that campaign. I think what happened all too often before is that you kind of flung it to internal comms at the last minute and expected them to work miracles. We got 7,000 employees, 70,000 volunteers. So if I can get my internal audience really juiced up about what we're doing, chances are it's going to work and fly a little bit outside as well. So we put a lot of time and effort into our internal comms, from road shows to films, staff panels, getting involved in those really early, the earlier the better. Get them involved in that sort of conceptual stage of things. And that really started to work well for us, because the biggest disconnect we can sometimes have is it's all right for us in marketing to be coming up with these campaigns, but actually if that's not the experience people have on the ground when they visit a National Trust place, the whole thing kind of falls down. So actually getting those property guys and our general managers really engaged with what we're doing and making them feel part of the brand. You know, brand isn't something that just marketeers do. So we've done a lot around that sort of messaging.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, communication is obviously key from the top down, and making sure that, you know, everyone's aligned on what the key messages are, that everyone's going in the same direction ultimately, but you don't that you don't stifle creativity through that process. I think that's really important. I talked about the need to be, embrace immediacy and turn things around quickly. We had, I guess, one example of disrupting yourselves a bit internally to kind of think differently and function differently. We had an animated film a couple of years ago called Big Hero 6, and we were in a little bit of a jam with where the awareness tracking was, and just wasn't really going in the right direction. So we, 3 weeks out, which is that critical launch period, we started a Big Hero 6 p.m. every night, gathered 20 people in a room, and for an hour, for 60 minutes every night, the brief was, what do you know today that you didn't know yesterday, and what do we need to know tomorrow to be relevant, to keep this thing relevant? And people just got very engaged with that process, and no idea was a bad idea. And we got things out of it every day that we could then be agile with creatively and make sure that we were connected to what was topical in people's feeds and using our characters in a smart way. So it was just it was a success.